folks, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by your faculty Sushma KP. So, what is the topic that we will be discussing? Trump's Asia visit and shifting US China equations. Understanding? Now, first and foremost, when we will be discussing with this topic, we are going to bundle up and speak more of personify India from its past experiences and what it should do in the present. What do I mean by that? See, recently Trump is going to conclude tomorrow his Asia summit tour with the summit in Busan, South Korea, where he will be meeting Xi Jinping. Okay, your China and USA are going to bring out a major big aspect in this bilateral meeting between USA and China. What is a major big thing? Especially that has everyone in Asia, India are raising the eyebrows and waiting to know as to what would happen in this. Because first we have to understand whether this bilateral meeting between your USA and China is going to either reset their relationship or will it have to be a review on your Indo Pacific strategy. So Asia is anxious and especially India is also very much watchful. Why is Asia anxious? Because they are feeling as to whether will Trump sacrifice Taiwan or it will sacrifice many of the important attributes that hurts the Asia in order to secure a deal with China. So this Busan summit conclusion and the bilateral meeting that would come out of your China and USA will tell us whether there is continuity in the policies or is there any adjustments. First and foremost, let's speak about the background of your US China relations. See, in your 1930s period of time, your USA and your China became allies because they had one common factor that united them. That was your Japan's aggression, and Japan was on the other side. Understanding the Axis powers, the allies were your USA and side. So, your China was supported by your arms, ammunitions, and also with respect to support from your ideology, philosophy, all this from USA. Through this, they tried to contain your Japan. Now, at this point of time, in the period of World War II, your USA and China became partners. But in here, in trying to deal with Japan, India did not benefit out of much. In fact, it did not work out very well for India. How? For example, at that point of time, China had asked the support of Gandhi, but Gandhi had rejected the support, claiming that its fight over India's freedom struggle was more important than in anything else. Second thing is, a freedom fighter like Subhash Chandra Bose went on to ask the help from your Japan. So we were divided on the approach. It did not earn us much, but your USA and China, when the allies won, your China was in the good side of your USA, through which it even earned its international membership in your UNSCs and all of those. Okay, so your China had a good relationship at that point of time, but this was very short lived. That is, the wartime alliance between USA and China broke out in 1949 when the communists gained power. At that point of time, your USA did not recognize your communist power, People's Republic, and rather it sided with Taiwan. Then finally, China turns communist. From this period onwards, the 1950 onwards, your USA was viewing China with the prism of containment. Okay, and it was trying to contain your China by trying to ally itself with Japan, South Korea, and also you're trying to more of bring the ASEAN support to its role. Why now China? See, already it was angry over US on the aspects of your Taiwan and also South China Sea understanding. So its dominance was increasing, which was not met well with the other ASEAN members. This the USA used to bring the ASEAN members or other such as your Japan, yes, and other ASEAN members towards its side in order to contain your China. Now, what happened? The first phase is 1930s to 49 phase. We have seen that this is a period of your Second World War. What happens is your alliance grows stronger between your US and China. But post war, that is post your Second World War, there is divergence in the ideologies, and second phase is between your 49 to 72 period, where there is clear hostility between your US and China, where your US views China with the prism of containment, and so Cold War bloc is there. The next phase is your 1972 to 2017 phase. Now, this was tried to be creating in the form of a reset of ties with your US and China, especially with your Nixon's visit. So much so that your Richard Nixon of US president, when he tried to visit your China, this also coupled with lot of secret diplomacy. So much so that this led to a grand noble idea that they wanted to create with America's capital and China's manufacturing. They wanted to dominate global world trade at that point of time with the aid of globalization. So much so that this was dubbed as Chimerica, China plus America. Understanding America's capital power, economic power, and your, that is your China's manufacturing sector, manpower. Using this and taking the help of globalization, they were going to rule the world. At least that was the ideology. Now, by the time when it comes to 2017, there was open outright condemnation, criticism. That is, there was a strong strategic rivalry, decoupling, technology wars, claiming that China is the enemy, China is the rival. All this started. Now, if you see how was India's position in all these phases with respect to your US-China relationship, it was not something that was very beneficial to us. Why? First and foremost, in the post Second World War period, what China benefited out of your US friendship, India could not benefit because of internal divisions. One side, Gandhi refused to give support to the China because it had to fight its own war with respect to British. Second, Subhash Chandra Bose went in to ask support from Japan. And third, during your 1970s, when your China's aggression had increased, especially India and China relations started worsening from 1950 onwards. This started becoming very evident in 1962. Now, our rift with Indochina did not get us closer with the West. So, what happened? 1970s, we moved our allegiance towards USSR. Whereas your China and US, that is your Richard Nixon and this period of time, they started cozying up. Then finally, with the 1990s period, especially with the disintegration of USSR, India had to take a strategic shift, and also it openly accepted the reforms. It also went ahead for a normalization between your USA and China. Now, post 2017, now largely now in your 1990s period, when we say in the 2000s decade, your USA tried to open up to India and then try to get India in order to contain your China. And also, what happened? This did not go very well because India was also playing the age old historic concept of balancing act between USA and China, which did not work out well for us. Then finally, post 2017, yes, we have been entering with respect to a lot of strategic cooperation with US with respect to Quad, technology transfers, and everything, but it did not still work out because we still try to do the same concept of entrapment. That is, we don't want to be stuck between the power blocks, so we try to balance off between your USA on one side and China and Russia on the other side. See, presently with the Trump, we are worried as to whether this will go for again another concept of resetting of ties between your USA and China, because that is the one that is defining Asia's geopolitics. Now, your Trump and Xi Jinping meeting can be seen as a truce. Yes, this is a much needed assurance for the geopolitics that yes, there will be some stability, at least for the investors and also with the business and all this markets. But whereas the fact that whether they will go for a complete reset of ties, that question we cannot tell it definitive yes, because still ideological differences exist, because China is no longer the China that it was in your earlier stage. Now it has approached and it was also demanding itself as the strong superpower. At this point of time, there could be a grand bargain between your India, that is your China, and USA. But this grand bargain could come at a greater cost. What that is, we will discuss. But before that, we have a small announcement from Legacy IAS Academy. If you are someone who is looking for UPSC preparations, then look no further. You have found the right spot with Legacy IAS Academy, wherein we maintain our batch size at strictly 40 members per limit. We also provide comprehensive coverage of your GS paper, one-on-one mentorship, easy access to educators. We also conduct daily mains answer writing challenge, current affair classes, CSAT classes. We also conduct our sessions in both offline mode as well as online mode. For those of you who are working professionals or students, you can take avail of your weekend courses. For more information, you can contact the number, or you can check out Legacy IAS Academy website for yourself. Now coming back to the topic. With respect to the US policy, see, in as of what has happened up until now, your USA is still reminded to more of its commitment has been somewhat steady. I can use the word somewhat steady is because it has sometimes deteriorated and then come back. So it has reaffirmed its commitment to the AUKUS, Australia UK US relationship, and also it has told that this US and Japan are going to have a golden age in the relationship. And it has also strengthened ties with the ASEAN members, and it is also committed to its Indo-Pacific partners. At the same point of time, your USA has also told that it will reduce its dependence on China's critical minerals. Now this indicates that this is a policy of refinement, that is, we will be traveling further with China, but this is not a reversal of policy, which means India need not have to just worry that yes, we will be isolated when they both set up a ties, nor do we have to feel entrapped by trying to balance between the both the powers. So one of the main thing that can be said about your US and China relationship is their rivalry is rooted because both want to be the global dominants. Not one is trying to give up that position. Understanding? Now with this, what is the implications for Asia? If you see, first and foremost, the regional states are constantly trying to recalibrate the relationship based on how your US and China do business. If they are on good terms, they expect us to change our policies. If they are on bad terms, they expect us to change the policies. So the smaller powers are becoming a pawns between your bigger game of US security and also Chinese markets. And your ASEAN is trying to do the balancing act to Japan and Australia deepening alliances with US, whereas India still is bound by the dual challenge of competition and cooperation among both these powers. So first and foremost, India has to let go of the old fear of entrapment and the new fear of abandonment. Old fear of entrapment between two superpowers, new fear of abandonment by two superpowers. So first and foremost, this is the lesson that we have to learn, is we have to let go, or we should not be on over reliant on any one sort of the power. We have to first strengthen our defense production, bring in economic reforms, scale up our manufacturing, and also we have to modernize our indigenous industries, bring in more of your technology and semiconductor strategy. We have to make sure that we deepen our cooperation with US also, and trying to manage China in this, but all this only while we are strengthening our domestic markets. With this, we come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it along with your friends. Thank you.